Sorry, I'm checking on my babies on the breaks. They're in there. There's four of them, and they're all pretty young. So it's I just gotta peek in on them and see what's going on. All right, welcome to our third and last segment of the day, learning the Word. We are in Revelation chapter 9, and we are starting at verse 6. That's where we left off. Are you ready? And in those days men shall seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. That's where we wrapped up Friday on the Word. Now, interestingly enough, this is actually saying those who take the mark will not be able to die physically. That is scary. That means there is no escape for them from these rotting, aging, disgusting flesh bodies. They are stuck in them. The Word says that they have no rest day nor night. Those who take the mark will not be able to sleep again. Their soul is lost. They are absorbed into a collective evil, and they are controlled for the rest of their lives, kind of like their minds are hijacked, like they're hypnotized or whatever. And as you know, if you've ever seen a hypnotist do their thing, they can control someone's mind. And that person, when that control is given back to them, has no idea what they did. They can cluck like a chicken or bark like a dog at the hand of the hypnotist, and they have no memory of it whatsoever. It's very frightening to allow someone to hijack your mind. Don't do it. But these who take the mark, it says, in those days, this is the second half of the tribulation period. Men shall seek death and shall not find it. They can't die. Since they can't sleep, their bodies are just rapidly deteriorating. They're just dead men walking, like zombies, basically, at a certain point. Their flesh is rotting, and they can't escape their body. They shall seek to die. They want to die, but they don't get to die because death is a comfort in that situation, and they don't get any comfort. And they desire to die. They want to die, but death shall flee from them. They don't get to die. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. And on their heads were, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. This may be this fifth. Now, notice, this is the fifth trumpet that we're on. The bottomless pit has been opened, and these locusts come out. This is some kind of a really scary technology that is advanced, and these things are like horses prepared unto battle. On their heads, as it were, like crowns of gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. That's really weird, isn't it? And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. It sounds like some kind of drone or something, doesn't it? And they had breastplates, as it were, breastplates of iron. These things are kind of made out of metal or something. Now, they have drones that carry syringes to where they can inject you with things. They can fire a dart at you and inject you with something. But it says here, the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Kind of like helicopter, you know. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails. And their power was to hurt men 5 months. They're going to put the hurt on people for 5 months. That is going to be misery. Now it says here in verse 4 that these things are commanded to hurt only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Now, those are the 144,000, but the believers, it is possible you have a seal in your forehead. It's not the mark, but this would be applied by the Holy Spirit is our seal, okay? The Holy Spirit is our seal, but these are talking about the 144,000 are young, Jewish, virgin, young men who are given supernaturally this seal, and they're given the information that Jesus is the Christ. Now, this is after he shows up, okay? And 5 months, they have the power to hurt people at this fifth trumpet. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. Now, this may be the one that comes out and kills the 2 witnesses. They had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. One woe is past. Now that's a woe, okay? And I mean, woe. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. So this first woe is these creatures that come out of the bottomless pit that can sting people and hurt them, and the pain lasts for 5 months. It's agony and torture. It says their torment in verse 5, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh the man. This may actually happen to the believers as well. It could. One thing I need to interject here. I was doing a study, and my friend was doing a study, and we were doing this study, and she was more than I was, but she brought this to my attention, and I thought, wow, that's kind of amazing, huh? Because the word talks about how the Jews will be blinded until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. Okay? Now, we know the Jews are blinded until our evacuation at the 6th seal, and then their eyes are opened. Okay? Now, they're blinded until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. I looked at the word fullness, looked it up in the dictionary, and it says that what it means is that something has reached its full capacity. Now, you know what that may mean? It may mean that if you're a Gentile and you're not ready to go when he comes, if you're not under the blood, you're toast. You've missed the boat. You don't get another chance. If you're a Gentile and you miss this first rapture that happens as a result of the 6th seal, you are lost. That's it. Gentiles. The fullness of the Gentiles comes in at the 6th seal when Jesus arrives, and that means it's filled to capacity with Gentiles. The Gentiles are at capacity. And so if you're still here for the second half, you're toast. That's what it looks like. Now, it says here, now we're going to go on to the 6th trumpet, okay? The 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. So there are 4 angels that are currently bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year. Did you hear that? They already have a set hour, day, month, and year for this to occur. They are prepared for this hour, day, month, and a year for to slay the 3rd part of men. So those that are still here after the tribulation period, this 5th, after the evacuation of the saints at the 6th seal, after that you have the trumpet judgments, right? The 7th seal, and the 7th seal releases the 7 angels with the 7 trumpets. This is the 6th trumpet, and these 4 angels slay 1/3 of the remaining people on the planet. 1/3. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. That's 200 million. And I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision. Now, before I go on, I want to tell you 200 million. China has an army that consists of 200 million soldiers. Did you know that? The reason China is so difficult to beat is because there's so many of them. 200 million soldiers. Okay? You can fire every bullet you've got and kill one of them, and you are going to run out of bullets before they run out of soldiers to run you down. Okay? That's a difficult thing to overcome. You can shoot them and you can kill them all, but you can't use up all your bullets, and they're still going to have soldiers. Okay? And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. So this is the second woe. So it's talking about these. He says in verse 17, he sees these horses in the visions and them that sat on them. They have breastplates, they're red breastplates, and of jacinth and brimstone. Okay, so these are kind of a gold, reddish gold kind of color. The heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. So these vehicles, these are vehicles, okay? The horses, these are soldiers, okay? The heads of the horses were as heads of lions, so they're in vehicles. They are in tanks and armored vehicles and things like that. It says, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. These are armored vehicles that can fire missiles. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. Now you've got 1/3 of humanity killed from nuclear war right here. Right here. This we're looking at Armageddon right here. Okay? For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents. See, you ever seen those tanks and armored vehicles that have the long guns sticking out the back? For their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt. They have this big round looking thing on the end of their guns. It looks like a serpent to the prophet. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. It amazes me how people can bow to some inanimate object, but they do. That's what they've always been trained to do by their family, by their religion, their culture. In verse 21, neither repented they of their murders. These whacked out people in the tribulation, they believe, and like this crazy Muslim from Orlando that committed these atrocities, he believes he's doing the world a favor by killing homosexuals. He's whacked, okay? You don't do the world a favor by murdering people. The word says, are we to do evil that good may result? God forbid. And that's what happens. He's doing evil, murdering people, thinking that the result is something good. He's deluded. He's captured by some whacked out, crazy religion. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication. They're in sexual sin up to their eyeballs. They're in drug use up to their eyeballs. They murder by abortion, okay? Nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. They justify these things. And that's the end of chapter 9. Let's go on to chapter 10. I'm not sure how much time we have. I think we have about 7 or 8 minutes. Let's go on into chapter 10. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven. Now, this is the third woe. Woe, okay? This is the third woe, and this is the seventh trumpet. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud. So he's got a cloud around him. And you got to notice we'll have to do a study about these clouds sometime, because you've got clouds every time you hear the voice of the Lord. Every time, Jesus, when Jesus ascended, he ascended into a cloud. I think you're looking at portals rather than ships, okay? I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head. And his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. That sounds pretty intimidating, doesn't it? It does to me. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea and his left foot on the earth. This is one big angel, isn't it? Unless he's just standing on the seashore. He cried with a loud voice as when a lion roareth. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. Haven't you always wanted to know what the 7 thunders had to say? I do. I really want to know, but it doesn't tell us. We'll have to find out when we get there. But what's really interesting is that John says 7 thunders uttered their voices. And then in verse 4, and when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write. He was going to write down what the 7 thunders had to say. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. So he doesn't get to tell us what the 7 thunders had to say, but that'd be interesting to find out, wouldn't it? And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. Everything is wrapping up here. But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets. That's the hidden truths. He is going to evacuate all of those who have trusted in the Messiah at the midpoint. If you're a Gentile and you're not ready, you are toast. Now, you may say, well, what does it take to get ready? If you're born of God, you're born ready. Okay? If you're born of God, you're born ready. So all of those under the blood that are Gentile are going to go in this rapture. Okay? And believers, if your children may be really struggling and having a hard time figuring all these things out and going their own way, but they are still going to go in that rapture. What makes you ready? Let me go. Now they can hear me? They couldn't hear me now? What I was just saying? Okay. Okay. All right, guys. We love you. God bless you. And should the Lord tarry, we'll see you again tomorrow, here, there, or in the air. And remember, do right and risk the consequences. God bless you. Bye, guys.